Happy March, friends, and happy middle grade March to everyone who is participating. I've been a big fan of middle grade March for a very long time. I've been participating for a very long time. I think since the very first year Katie started it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will link their Instagram below. I'll also link the 3 moderators, but the point of this readathon is to spend the entirety of March celebrating and uplifting middle grade books, which is a age category that I have always loved dearly. I've drifted away from it a little bit in the past few years, so I really try to use March to give myself permission to dive back into it, since it's not a age category that I'm really gravitating towards in my reading right now. And in honor of the month, I thought it would be fun to read 7 middle grade books in 7 days, which I was also partially inspired by Zoe at NYC Book Ho on Instagram. She did a reel a few weeks ago where she tried to read multiple reels. Like, she tried to read 7 books in 7 days, and then she did like vlogs for not vlogs, she did like video updates each day of the process. So obviously this is gonna be like the long form version of it, but I'll link Zoe's Instagram down below as well. She might have a YouTube as well, but I think she's primarily on Instagram and probably TikTok, but I don't have TikTok because I'm an elder millennial and anyways, not the point. The point is middle grade. So this could also probably count as an episode of TBR and Haulathon, because I did pick 7 books that I have the audiobook of already, and then placed holds on physical copies because I am definitely like bouncing back and forth between liking to listen and liking to physically read. So I just wanted to have the option for both. 4 of them arrived in time, and we're gonna hope the other 3 get here before I need them. I don't think I'm gonna walk you through the TBR. I think we're just gonna go for it and you're just gonna see. It'll be a surprise. Every day will be a surprise. I am starting tomorrow. This is currently March 1st. I'm gonna start on Monday, which will be March 2nd. Monday is also my really busy day of the week between work and activities and just how the schedule goes. So I wanted to be strategic and pick a book that is not going to, I want to set realistic expectations for myself. So I'm going to start with The List of Things That Will Not Change by Rebecca Stade. I have read 1 book by her. I've read When You Reach Me. And to be honest, I don't remember what it was about because it was so long ago, but I remember liking it. This one is about a girl named B, and it says, when Dad tells B that he and his boyfriend Jesse are getting married, B is thrilled. B loves Jessie, and when he and Dad get married, she'll finally have what she's always wanted, a sister. Even though she's never met Jessie's daughter, Sonia, B is sure that they'll be just like sisters anywhere. As the wedding day approaches, B learns that making a new family brings questions, surprises, and joy in this brilliant modern classic. I have only heard rave reviews for this book. I think this is pretty beloved in middle grade circles. And it's only, does this not have page counts? It's only 218 pages. I think this is going to be very easy to read and really good and a great start to middle grade March. So thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy March 2nd. I am 104 pages into the list of things that will not change, and I'm really liking this. So it really is kind of what it says on the back of the book, Bee's parents are divorced, and we're kind of going back and forth through time. Bee's talking to us about this winter when her dad and his boyfriend have announced that they're getting married, and her dad's boyfriend, Jesse, his daughter, Sonia, comes out from California to visit for a week, and that's the first time they've met. And then we're also getting in the past when Bee's parents first split up, and when they told her they were getting divorced, they gave her a notebook, and inside the notebook was a list of things that will not change. Like, mom will love you always, dad will love you always, your homes will never be far apart, things to comfort and reassure her, and Bee has really held onto that. Bee is an interesting character. She has a lot of stuff going on in her head. She definitely has anxiety, and she feels a lot of feelings. I don't think she really she doesn't pause to think a whole lot, which, is totally normal for, I think she's 10 for her age. And she was 8 when her parents got divorced. She has eczema, which she's kind of embarrassed about having. And it's very slice of life of like just Bee's life and things she's doing at school and things she's doing with her friends and things she's worried about and things she's scared about. And the contemporary plot line, or the present timeline, she's really struggling with Sonia. Like, when Sonia comes to visit, Sonia's not as excited, it seems like, as Bee is. And Bee doesn't really fully understand why. And I am interested to see, like, what else happens. But I like the writing. I like the characters. I think this is tackling a lot of topics that are really relevant for kids. And there are a lot of things about Bee that a lot of different kids could see themselves in, which I think is really great. I would say my only quibble is at the beginning of the book when she's talking about her parents getting divorced. She says that there was only one other kid in her class whose parents were divorced. I'm like, ma'am, how is that possible? Because in my kids' classes, like, half the parents are divorced. Maybe not half, but like, it's not uncommon for there to be multiple kids in a classroom at, 9 and 10 whose parents are divorced. So that was the only thing where I was like, okay. Otherwise, I'm really enjoying it. I am going to go and drink some coffee, read a little bit more before I have to go to work this morning, but it's off to a really great start. Okay, I finished List of Things That Will Not Change by Rebecca Stade, and I'm going to give it 4 stars. I thought this was a really lovely middle grade story. Everything that I said before, it's not a 5-star because, one, I think Bee reads a little young. Just having a 10-year-old, some of it, she just feels really young. And there's not a huge difference in the way that she acts between 8 and 10. So I would say that is my quibble. I really like the themes that this book touches on. I like the things that Bee is going through. I think the things she is going through are really relatable. I just feel like she's written young. And so, like, middle grade's age range is 8 to 13. And I would not give this to anyone in middle school, and would maybe even hesitate to give it to a 5th grader, because I feel like it just reads a little bit younger on the like age spectrum. But I think like a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, maybe a 9-year-old would probably really like this. And I also think, like, as an adult reading it, it's a good middle grade. Like, it's solid middle grade. There is also a thing that has happened in the past. So one of the big themes in this book is learning how to forgive yourself when you make a mistake. And Bee is carrying around a really big secret that we don't learn until the end of the book. And we find out, like, everything that happened up to the thing that Bee is keeping a secret. And I feel like the adult she tells, just kind of like, it's fine, everybody makes mistakes, which is like, yeah, but that could have, like, that maybe, I don't know. It's like that very thin line of, like, not wanting to browbeat someone over a mistake they've made, but also wanting to make sure that they never do that again. So I would have liked a little bit more, like, from the adult she tells, but that's just me. It's personal critique. Otherwise, this is a great start to the week. And I really like Rebecca Stade's writing. I do think When You Reach Me, I liked more. Even though I can't remember what that one's about, I remember liking that more. I did really like her relationships with her friends. And I just think the theme of like people make mistakes and it is okay to make mistakes. And it's good to give people second chances when they also make mistakes, but also not changing who you should be based on someone else's idea of who you should be. And I think that's where I'm going to land. So yeah, 4-star read, very good, solid middle grade. And I'm excited for tomorrow. What am I reading tomorrow? I'll go get it. I can give you a little sneak peek. I'm reading another middle grade contemporary tomorrow. I'm going to read Stand Up, Yumi Chung. This is by Jessica Kim. And this is about a girl named Yumi who is Korean and wants to get into stand-up comedy. Why was that sentence so hard? It says, let's try that again. Instead of spending the summer studying her favorite comedians, Yumi is enrolled in test prep tutoring to qualify for a private school scholarship, which will help in a time of hardship at the restaurant. One day after class, did I mention her family owns a Korean barbecue restaurant? Sorry. One day after class, Yumi stumbles on an opportunity that will change her life, a comedy camp for kids taught by one of her favorite YouTube stars. The only problem is that the instructor and all the students think she's a girl named Kei Nakamura, and Yumi doesn't correct them. As this case of mistaken identity unravels, Yumi must decide to stand up and reveal the truth or risk losing her dreams and disappointing everyone she cares about. Okay, oh my god, the font is huge in this book. Okay, I've been kind of nervous about this one because that's a lot of miscommunication. That's a lot of not correcting people, which I have loved a book like that in the past. Anna on the Edge kind of deals with that, where Anna makes a new friend and that boy assumes that Anna is another boy and Anna doesn't correct him. And it goes on for like a while and then Anna has to like come clean that they're not a boy, but it's like through like it's part of Anna's path to realizing that they're non-binary. So I've read that before and still really, really love the book. So I'm hoping it doesn't make me cringe too much in this one. But this is for tomorrow, so I'll talk to you then. I forgot my camera at home, so we're doing a phone update. I'm 60-something% through Stand Up Yumi Chung. I'm on page 192, chapter 18, and I'm so anxious. She's lying to so many people. Okay, let me back up. Yumi Chung is in 7th grade, I think, or 6th grade, and she's the daughter of Korean immigrants. They own the restaurant. The restaurant is struggling. They're not as busy as they used to be because of other businesses coming into the neighborhood. And Yumi has an older sister named Yuri who is super smart, like skipped 2 years of school, has already graduated from college. She's like 20. She's in med school. And Yumi is compared to her sister a lot. Their parents want them to be good at school. They really want Yumi because the restaurant is struggling, Yumi's mother decides she wants her to take this test at this private school she goes to, because if she gets like a certain score on it, then she can qualify for a full academic scholarship, because otherwise she's gonna have to leave. But Yumi really hates her private school. She is teased a lot, she's bullied, she's singled out for being Asian, she doesn't have any friends. And she really hates it. Yumi's also really shy. She has a hard time speaking her mind, standing up for herself, but she also wants to be a stand-up comedian. And if her parents do not get it at all. So it's summer break and Yumi's mom signs her up for tutoring at this Korean tutoring center. And one day after Yumi's done, she has a few hours before her mom's supposed to pick her up, and she sees this new comedy club is going in, and she walks in and there happens to be a comedy summer camp for kids that her idol is teaching. And this comedian that's teaching the class that Yumi loves, she mistakes Yumi for a camper who hasn't shown up, and Yumi doesn't correct her. Hence, and then shenanigans ensue, and we embark upon a whole summer of Yumi lying
to her new friends, to her parents, to her idol, to her sister, and at the same time dealing with the possibility that her parents might lose the restaurant. It's a lot. And I really struggle with the middle grades where the kids are lying to everyone the whole time, because I'm like, especially in this where like Yumi has had a couple of instances where she could come clean and she doesn't because she's afraid of the response to her lying, but then she just lies more and digs herself deeper. So I know I'm getting close to the point where it's all going to come crashing down on her head, but I don't want it. But again, like, I really like the themes in this middle grade. I like the discussion of like children of immigrants and the pressure that first generation kids feel from their parents to succeed, and that success can be a really, like, the view of success can be really narrow, and trying to find the balance between respecting your parents and also doing what you want to do. And I like all that. I just really want Yumi to tell the truth. So I am hoping I'll be able to finish this in the next couple of hours. I'm about to pick up my youngest from school. We're going to run to the grocery store. And then I saved my household chores for this afternoon so I can put on my headphones and clean while I keep listening to the audiobook. I am really liking the audiobook. The narrator is really good. So yeah, that's how it is. I know it'll be fine. It's middle grade. It'll all work out. I just have to keep reminding myself that it'll all work out. I'm too tired to sit up and talk to you properly. But I finished Stand Up Yumi Chung, and I think it's another 4-star. I really liked it. Solid middle grade, great message about being true to yourself and speaking up and using your voice and letting the people who love you for who you are, not for who they think you are. And I really liked Yumi's relationship with her family, with her sister Yuri, and yeah, just overall. And her friends are really great. And like right after I updated you this afternoon, people started like figuring out that she wasn't, or she started telling. It started like the lies started to come unraveled. So I didn't have to sit in that discomfort for very long. And yeah, I really liked this whole thing. It did wrap up in like a very nice tidy bow at the end, which, you know, is pretty normal for middle grade. So I'm not knocking that against it, because again, that's like the beauty of middle grade, is that everything will be fine, usually. Glad I finally got around to this. I am going to do a pivot tomorrow, because I don't want to read another contemporary middle grade. So the one that I have on top of the stack is historical middle grade, and I think it's medieval. Don't think it's fantasy. I think it's just historical, but obviously I'll know more once I start it tomorrow. And then I'll give you an update about what it's about and what the deal is. It's also a little bit shorter because tomorrow is another busy day. I'm home from work and too tired to actually like sit up and talk to you properly, but I need to talk to you about the book I'm reading today. This concept of reading a book a day feels especially like, what was I thinking today? I don't know why today versus the other days, but today I'm feeling a little bit like, why did I do this to myself? Anyways, I am halfway through The Hunt for the Mad Wolf's Daughter. I didn't realize until this morning that this is a companion book to The Mad Wolf's Daughter. I don't think it matters a whole lot if you've read book one, because I haven't read book one, and I just kind of dove into this morning, and I was a little confused at the beginning, but I think I've caught on. This is medieval historical fiction, which I don't like medieval as a time period in fiction. And I was trying to be like introspective and think about why I don't like medieval as a setting, as a time and place, and I don't know that I really landed on an answer. I just don't like it, is what it comes down to. But our main character is dressed, yes, and she is the youngest of 5. She has 4 older brothers, and their father is like a laird, or maybe not a laird. I don't think they own, well, they own land. Anyways, and he's called the Mad Wolf of the North. And I think in the first book, their keep was invaded,
and her brother and her father, her brothers and her father were captured, and Dressed was the only one left behind because she hid, and then she embarks on like this adventure to rescue them. And then this takes place after the fact, where she's kind of become legendary for saving her family, and now there's a price on her head and like a bounty for her. And so all these people are hunting her, and she's trying to help her friend who has had his castle like stolen, and rumor has spread that he is dead and that Dressed is the one that killed him. And so she's trying to help her friend take back his castle, and that's the plot we have in this book. So halfway through, it's the shortest book I've picked, but it definitely, for this week, but it definitely has the smallest font so far. So it's taking me a little longer to read it, page-wise. I think it's fine. Maybe a little bit of a letdown after the previous two books, but that could more be because this is not a time period that I enjoy hanging out in. I think if I'm going to be in a medieval time period, I guess I feel like there should be dragons. And so if it's just like realistic medieval, it's like, well, what's the point, you know? Anyways, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna read. My voice still sounds horrible. I can't tell if I'm getting sick or not. I feel like my body wants to get sick, isn't committing all the way. So I'm gonna lay down and rest for a little while. And I don't think I'll go to the gym today, but if I do, I'm just gonna walk. I'm not gonna lift anything because I definitely feel like my body needs a break. I'm not quite done. I'm so close. Something just happened with one of the villains. It was so stupid. One of my pet peeves in like books where there are warriors and there's a lot of battles, and there are these people who are supposed to have like all this battle fighting prowess or like military experience and expertise. When they make stupid decisions, it drives me bananas because I feel like we get told how smart these characters are because of their warrior experience, and then they just make the dumbest decisions. I'm like, why? I have zero warrior experience, and I could have told you that was a bad idea. So now I'm annoyed. And there's a lot of battle scenes, and I don't really care about the battle scenes. I'm almost done. Okay, it is hours later, but I finished the hunt for the Mad Wolf's Daughter. I gave it a 2.5. It's just aggressively not for me. I didn't mention it earlier, but another thing that this book that I didn't like is that I've already forgotten her name again. Dressed. One thing she does, because she's on her own a fair amount, and as she's like journeying across Scotland, and one thing she keeps doing is she imagines conversations with her brothers, and I get why. And I get why the author would do that, but I didn't like it. Just make them characters. Like, just give her, I don't know, a companion. Give her somebody. And it's just not for me. And let me tell you, I am the only person on Storycraft that doesn't like this book. It has such a high rating, and all of the ratings are like 4 and 5 stars. I definitely could have probably benefited from reading book 1, but I think a companion is misleading. Because, I mean, yeah, I read it and it was fine, but especially with the relationships with her friends, with Emmerich and Tig, you could tell that there was an already established relationship there, and that you probably got information about them in book 1 that she wasn't going to rehash in book 2. So yeah, 2.5. It's fine. It's so much of stuff I don't care about. So I'm glad that's done. And I'm excited for the book for tomorrow, but also it is definitely the chunkiest book of the 7 that I selected. And I'm a little nervous at my hubris that thinking I could read that book in a day. It's going to be quite the undertaking. So I might read a little bit of it tonight and give myself a head start. But I also am reading a different book like behind the scenes just for like me and my enjoyment, and I really want to read more of that book. So I'll probably just wait and see what I can do tomorrow. But I'm a little scared. Look at what I'm trying to accomplish today. This is such a chunky book. What was I thinking? But also, like, not bad. So So I have picked Scarlet Morning by N.D. Stevenson for my next book. I am so excited about this one. And N.D. Stevenson, if you're not familiar with him, he is the creator of Nimona. He wrote the graphic novel and was heavily involved with the movie. And he was also the showrunner for She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. And I think he worked on Lumberjanes, I think, a bit. And he is just beloved in our house. We love Nate Stevenson's books to bits. And I was so excited about his first prose middle grade book. There are, of course, illustrations because how could there not be? But it's also like 400 pages. And 400 pages of like reasonable sized text. But there is art every few pages. So not quite, wall to wall words. But this is about, let's see if I can even summarize this. I've made it to page 148, which is great. It's just like 10 till noon. I'm home from work now. I was able to read all of this morning, but obviously I still have a lot to go. So this takes place in this, okay, I'm going to read you the little like prologue blurb thingy at the top because I think that summarizes better than what I will summarize. 15 years ago, when the dastardly pirate Scarlet Morning killed the Queen of Dickerson's Sea, a terrible storm began. Now there's nothing left of the old world. Not a queen, not the law, and especially not pirates. So our main characters are Viola and Wilbur, and they were dropped in this town called Caveat when they were really little. And they were raised for 15 years. So they're a little bit older for middle grade main characters. They're both, I think, 15. So a little bit older. And they were basically abandoned by their parents on this town. And they were raised by this woman who like doesn't even like children. And they've been best friends their entire life. They're not brother and sister. And their lives are so depressing. Like, the land around them is bleak. There's not a lot of food. The food's really plain and bland. Like, survival is so, I don't want to say bleak again, but I mean, it is what it is. And then one night, this Captain Cadence, what's her last name? Chase, arrives on their door. They have a book that she wants, and they barter that they will give her the book if she allows them to come with her on her ship. And so they board this ship, they meet the crew and kind of settle into life on the boat. And then, but like there's kind of a wedge thrown between Wilbur and Viola. Wilmer. Okay, I did this morning too, where I thought his name was Wilbur. It's Wilmer. Where Wilmer like settles into life on the ship pretty easily, and Viola unfortunately realizes that she is in fact a shy person, and she's never known that before because they grew up so isolated. And so they kind of start to drift apart, which is kind of heartbreaking for Viola. And then at the part that I'm at, something has happened, and now it truly feels like we're on an adventure. But I love the writing. This is so wonderful. It's kind of silly and whimsical, also pretty heartfelt, and just like so many things I love about N.D. Stevenson's voice when he writes, and I'm just having the best time so far. So I'm excited to keep going and see what happens next and where we go from here. I am listening to it on audio and then like sometimes reading along with. Other times I'll like listen to a chapter and then I'll just kind of flip through the chapter that I just finished so that I can look at the art because it's so pretty. And I just love it. It's so good. So I'm going to try and get a little bit more read and see how much I can get done in like the next 2.5 hours before my youngest gets home from school. I'm now 63% of the way through Scarlet Morning, and I need to head out here pretty soon to go pick up my youngest from school, but I wanted to give you like a little bit of an update. I think this world is so cool, but I am also pretty confused about how this world has worked. So I mentioned earlier when I read that blurb, like Scarlet Morning killed the Queen of Dickerson's Sea. So the sea is not water or not only water. So pirate ships can sail on this sea, but
there's like salt everywhere, and the salt looks like ice. And then there's parts of the sea where the waves have been turned into marble, and it just doesn't behave the way an ocean is supposed to. So I think that's kind of like part of my confusion is sometimes when there's narrative about the world building and just like the environment they're in, my brain just cannot grasp what's happening, which is why I appreciate that this is illustrated so much, because it gives visual to something that I couldn't imagine. So like I'm going to show you this picture. I'm not going to give like context or anything, so there's no spoilers, but like this picture is on the page after the text has described what's going on. And I was so grateful for it, because as I was reading it, I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be picturing. Also, keep in mind, I am generally not someone who can visualize what I am reading. I don't see a book, like I don't see it play through like a movie in my head. I like at the most can get like amorphous blobs, maybe in the positions that the characters are supposed to be in, but I can't imagine details. So like I found the illustration for this scene so incredibly helpful, because I never could have done this, like pictured this on my own. I want to show you my other favorite picture because I think it's so stunning. I mean, all the artwork is so good, but there was one where I just kind of paused the audiobook and just looked at the picture for a minute because I liked it so much. And then this one I really loved. I just think the perspective is so cool. So obviously I'm like reading while listening, and sometimes I'll exclusively listen, sometimes I'll exclusively read. And while I think the audiobook is really, really good, I think if you have a choice and you don't need the audiobook for like accessibility purposes, I think maybe physically reading is the way to go. Not just because of the artwork, but because there's also like that book component, and the book is in the book, but the book's been damaged. So like there's ink blots all over the pages. And while like the narrator will say like if they're reading a line and there's an ink blot over a word, they'll be like blah 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 blah, ink blot, blah 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 blah. And so I just think having the visual is really helpful. There's also like stuff that's been redacted, and and then there's like one part where like there's somebody's like drawn on top of the book, like in the book, and then there's another part where there's like a letter on top of a letter. And so like the narrator is trying to make it apparent that there's two, but getting to see, I don't know, there's so many little details that are very visual that I think if you had to pick the way to read this book, I would recommend reading it physically, just for all the details. I'm continuing to have a great time. My lack of grasp of understanding this world, or being able to visualize this world, isn't impeding my reading experience, because again, I don't typically visualize what I read anyways, and I'm okay with not understanding the world building, the magic system, things like that. I'm okay with not understanding them as long as I believe the author understands it and the author has thought it out and the author knows exactly how all the rules work in this world. If I believe and I trust that the author has it, I don't need to have it. Like I can just go along for the ride, and that's totally fine with me. So again, like I'm having a great time. I have like, how long did the audiobook say? I think the audiobook said I had like an hour and 40 minutes left, an hour and 47 minutes, which is great, but it also makes me sad that I'll have read this in one day, and it's such a good story. We've been spending a lot of time with Viola and the adventure that she's on with Chase, and the things that they're learning together, and like the mystery that they're trying to unravel. And so we're about to go back to Wilmer and see what he's gone up to, but I really like Viola's storyline. I like her as a character. I like the things she's learning about herself. I like how her relationship with Chase is growing and deepening. The one more thing I want to say before I go, because I came on specifically because I wanted to say this before I forgot about this. Earlier in this week when I read the list of things that will not change, and I said that I would recommend it for younger middle grade readers, even though that main character is like 11 or 12. I would say this is one of those books I think that can straddle middle grade or YA perfectly fine. So like if you saw me pick this up and were like, Emily, I think that's YA. I have had it a couple of times in here where I'm like, oh, maybe this is more of a YA book. And other times where I've been like, oh no, it's middle grade. So I think it's a straddle book. I think it's also a book that you could read to like a younger middle grader and maybe they just wouldn't catch everything, but is probably better suited to the older end of the spectrum. Like to give this to somebody who is in middle school, or maybe like a young high schooler who like isn't ready for some of the themes and content in like a full YA book. I think this is a good, like in between the two, it's a good bridge book between those two age categories. And I will say, Chase, the pirate, she drinks a lot of alcohol in this book. There was one point not too long ago where I was like, man, she's drinking again? Which doesn't, and she's an adult, so it's not like, and she's a pirate, so like it kind of goes with like the vibe. But I can definitely pinpoint that there are like adults who would not be super excited about how much alcohol drinking. And it's like fantasy alcohol, you know, like they don't call it, like it doesn't have like a real world name. It's obviously fantasy pirate grog, but that is a component of this book. So, okay, I'm going to go and get my youngest and, you know, do all those fun after school things. Actually, we kind of have a busy evening tonight, which I didn't think about when I planned this book for today. I do need to go pick the youngest up, and then we need to go to the grocery store because I need a couple of things for dinner. And then my teens have yet another choir concert tonight because it is choir season, apparently. But we're almost done. We have like this, and then they have a field trip for choir, and then we have a little bit of a break until like the last choir concert of the year. So excited to see them sing again. And yeah, I kind of ran out of steam just now, so I'll update you when I finish the book. I didn't make it yesterday. I hit a wall mid-afternoon and I just couldn't read anymore. And so I put it aside. I went and made dinner and did some other things. And then I came back at bedtime, got into bed, and I tried to finish it, but I fell asleep before I could. So I finished it this morning. So not quite a book a day. But I'm giving this 4.5 stars. I really liked this. I liked the ending a lot. Like I'm really curious about where we're going to go because this is book 1 in a series. And I'm really curious about where we're going to go in book 2 and like what the consequences are going to be of the thing that is revealed at the end. And yeah, this was just, I don't know. I want to say I find Nate Stevenson's humor to be very similar to T. Kingfisher's. Not exactly the same, but it's definitely got a similar feel. I think also like if you've watched Nimona, if you've watched She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, then like you know what Nate Stevenson's sense of humor is like, and that is definitely like in here, and I really like that, and I like the relationships. And I think this is a really fun world, even if I didn't always totally grasp it. I got a better grasp towards the end. But yeah, I just think this is really cool and really well done. And I'm going to stick with everything I said yesterday about it. So because I needed to spend this morning finishing this book, and I was reading slow this morning because I was so sleepy, I've only read a chapter of the next book, but the next book is also super short. I also feel like picking up this book after just having read Scarlet Morning is probably like going to do this book dirty because I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as good as Scarlet Morning, but we'll see. I'm going to read Fearless by Mandy Gonzalez. I've had this audiobook for a really long time. I had it since 5 years, 2021. Okay. That's great. Love that for me. But Fearless we're back to a contemporary, and I think, oh no, I have one more contemporary, so not my last one. And this is about a girl, I forgot her name already, named Monica, who is 12, and she sends in an audition tape for this Broadway musical that is casting and is going to have a lot of kids in it. And she gets cast as understudy for the lead. And so she and her abuela go to New York so she can understudy. And I guess there's going to be like a murder mystery. Well, not a murder mystery, a haunted theater and a mystery. And it's written by a Broadway actress. Mandy Gonzalez was the original Nina in The Heights. And so far, I've just read the first chapter. It's fine. It's fine. It's not like the best thing I've ever read. But it's also, it's not abysmal. It's just definitely a step down from Scarlet Morning. Like I said, it's super short. I'll probably listen to it mostly on audio rather than reading physically. And hopefully when she gets to the theater and she starts her rehearsal process and we get to the hauntings, hopefully that will be super engaging. I will have to say, I don't the audiobook narrator is Mandy Gonzalez, and while her regular narration voice is fine, I don't love the voice she's using for Monica's abuela, but that's just me. So, okay, I'm going to go because I need to stop talking for a little while before I go teach again. But it's Friday, and I only have to get through 3 classes, and then it's the weekend. We made it. Okay, it's only been a little bit, but I have some notes, and I need to talk about them before I forget them. First of all, they've just arrived in New York, off of their red eye. And Monica convinces her abuela to go walk in front of the theater that she'll be performing in. And they get there right as an ambulance is, a girl is getting loaded up into the ambulance. And Monica finds out that it's the actress that she's supposed to be understudying. And so now, she is no longer the understudy. She's, the new role. And the producer was like, well, come in and you got to start, she's not supposed to start rehearsals until the next day. However, her abuela sends her in by herself and is like, here's $20 so you can take a cab to the hotel that she hasn't been to yet. When you're done, she's 12. You're just going to get a city she's never been in. Nobody's met the other adults that are in charge of rehearsal. And she's just sending her granddaughter into this theater without meeting anybody, without giving anyone emergency contact information, without any sort of safe adult chaperone. What are we doing? So I don't like that. Also, Monica's met one of the cast members, one of the other kids, and they're talking, and they've been in rehearsal for 2 weeks. Why is Monica what? I don't, okay, look, I know I'm not a Broadway actress. I know. I haven't done a show for a really long time. I do have my degree in theater, and I have done, I've been in a lot of productions, nothing since I had kids, but still, I follow a lot of professional actors on Instagram, a lot of people who are in New York and acting. I'm gonna go out on a very sturdy limb and say, I don't understand how rehearsal has started without all the understudies being present. Okay, so we're not off to a great start, but hopefully that's the last of my complaining. Okay, it is now a few hours later, and I finished Fearless. I'm glad this one was so short, because definitely wasn't as polished as everything else I've read this week. I don't know, guys, it wasn't bad, but it was just pretty predictable. I had a lot of quibbles with things happening that didn't feel realistic or accurate. I don't know if I would have preferred it if it had just been a mystery or if it had just been about the rehearsal for the play. I feel like it was such a small book, and I feel like it was trying to do too much to be about these kids getting ready for their Broadway debut, but then there's also the haunted theater storyline, and it just felt like too much. Messages are sweet, characters are fine. It was just predictable, and the writing was a little simplistic. I've read some other books this week where the writing is really great, and so just compared to everything else, it was just kind of meh. So I'm going to give it a 2.75. Again, I think even though Monica is 12 or 13, I think this skews a lot younger than that age group. And that's all I've got. So not my favorite. Audiobook was okay. I didn't care for some of her performance choices and how she did the adult voices, but all the kids' voices were fine. I wouldn't recommend the audiobook over the physical book, but I don't know that I would really recommend this book in general. I would not recommend it, but I have to look and see if I've read other books that are middle grade that take place in a theater, because I think that's a fun setting. I just think this one was doing too much, and I felt like it wasn't wholly accurate for how children are taken care of when they're rehearsing for a show in general, let alone a Broadway show. I also didn't think Broadway shows rehearsed in the theaters that they were going to open in. I could be wrong, but as far as I know, you don't actually rehearse in your performance space. I don't know. Anyways, but I did it. Back on track with a book a day, and it's only like 1:45, which is nice. I have a little bit of time before I have to pick my youngest up from school, and then I go back to work for one more class. And classes this morning went really well, which was nice because I didn't know that I had the brain space for if anybody came into class cranky. And then hopefully my 5-year-olds this afternoon are also in a good mood and don't push me too much. I did get some mail. I got really behind on ordering our chapbooks. I do these like yearbooks for our family every year from chapbooks, and I had not ordered 2024's. I made it, but I'd never ordered it. So I finally ordered it and it's here. Now I just have to order 2025 and I'm finally caught up. And then my Aardvark Book Club box arrived today, and I picked Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinneman for the month. I've read Dungeon Crawler Carl, just book 1, and I liked it. I think I gave it like a 3.5, and I'm really interested in reading something from him that is not in the Crawler universe. And I think I have the audiobook for this as well. I think it was an ALC from Libro FM. And then the other exciting thing is I ordered a corner desk and a chair for my room because I don't have a desk. My laptop just kind of like floats around the house and I don't have like a set spot for it, which has been fine. Like I've been making it work, but I finally picked out a desk to go in the corner of my room, and that's supposed to arrive today. So I'm just kind of waiting for that because that will be fun to be able to have like an actual set space in the house for my computer and to sit and edit at and just to have. So that's today. Also, it's pizza night. I love pizza night. So I guess that's the last time I'm gonna talk to you today because I finished the book and I don't have to worry about starting another one until tomorrow. I think tomorrow's book, I think we're going back to middle grade fantasy. It might be like contemporary fantasy, like magical realism or urban fantasy. I'm not sure. I have to go check. I have to go read the synopsis and see if it's fantasy or like urban fantasy. And then the last book I think is contemporary again, which I'm kind of surprised that I picked so much contemporary middle grade for this week. I must not have been paying attention to the collection of books because I kind of wish I had put a little bit more middle grade fantasy into the deck. But oh well. These are all also books that I've just like had on my Libro FM for so long. So I needed to read them at some point anyways, except for Scarlet Morning, obviously, since that's a new release. But I needed to read them at some point. So I guess that's good. Okay, I have to leave for work shortly, but we have a quick desk and chair update. Good news, they arrived. The chair is built. Bad news, the top of the desk is warped and I can't lock it onto the base, which is a big bummer. So I've already filed like a thing with Wayfair and hopefully it's easy to get it handled and they can just send me a new desktop. But for now, this corner is like even more of a mess. But the chair's there and I can at least sit on the chair and imagine what it will be like when the desk is built. And I purposely got a chair without arms so that I can sit cross-legged. And then I have a big ass box against the wall of my bedroom for in case I have to send part or all of the desk back, which is just like chilling right here until I hear back from Wayfair. So, and it's Friday, which means I probably won't hear back from them until next week. So I have to live with this clutter over the weekend. And I have like my weights like my home workout stuff all around it because I was hiding it under, well, not hiding it, but it was like in this corner. So I'm not quite sure if it's going to get to stay in here, if I can like put it underneath the desk once the desk is functional, or if I need to find an entirely new home for it. But sadly, I won't be able to get that figured out anytime soon. And I'm a little annoyed just because I want everything to be in its place. But oh well. Just how the cookie crumbles, but I like the chair. So that's a win. Good morning. It's Saturday. I slept in a little bit this morning, so I've gotten a little bit of a later start. I had some social media work to do, and then I kind of skipped some of my household chores on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday since I wasn't feeling great. I feel better today, but I also started my period, so, you know, you win some, you lose some. Anyway, so I just went around doing some of those chores that I got behind on, and I've been listening to the audiobook for my next middle grade title. I'm just trying to find the chapter I left off on. There we go. So I'm on page 182, The Memory Thief, a little over halfway through. This is like magical realism, urban fantasy, and it's about Rosie, whose mom has been cursed to like not remember her enough to love her. So Rosie's basically taking care of herself her entire life, and her mom is just very much going through the motions. Rosie has to do the grocery shopping. Rosie has to forge her mom's signature for school stuff. Rosie makes all the meals, and her mom just moves like a ghost through the house. And then one day something happens, and Rosie can now see all these ghosts, and she finds out that she is part of a family line of witch hunters, and this witch, the memory thief, is like trying to end her family line by taking their memories. And that's like her adventure of trying to stop the memory thief and try to get back her mom's memories so that her mother can love her, which is like really sad. I will say, content warning for Harry Potter references, if that's something you're sensitive to. There's been like 2 or 3 so far, so not my favorite thing in the world. And I am enjoying this. The audiobook's nice to listen to. I struggle with how isolated Rosie is. Obviously, she doesn't have a lot of people in her life. She only has one best friend, and she's currently doing that thing of like pushing her best friend away because she got her feelings hurt a little bit unintentionally. And also like trying to navigate just being 13 and seeing all these ghosts. I do find the ghosts like really interesting as we like learn more about some of them and their stories and like what has made them stay and be ghosts. And I'm interested to see how, like, it's a little over halfway through. This is part 1 in a series, so I don't know how much we'll wrap up in this one. I don't think I'll be continuing on with the series just because like I'm liking it, but I'm not, or maybe liking is a strong word. I'm enjoying it, but I'm not like super into it. Those are my thoughts so far. But again, I have like 100 pages left. So like anything could happen in 100 pages. This author could like totally win me over. So we'll see how it goes, but I've had this one on my TBR since 2021, so it's another that like has been like sitting around for a while, and I've seen this cover on my Libro.fm account so many times in the last 5 years, so it's good to like finally be reading it and know that I won't have to continue to look at this cover and wonder what this book is about. I have like one more chore to do. I have to dust. It's so exciting. And then, I don't know, I'm debating working out today because I haven't worked out since Tuesday, but I also am still pretty low energy. I'm going and hanging out with my sister tomorrow, and Sunday is usually like my get things done. Like I try to have a relaxing day and a get stuff done day, but because I'm going to use my get stuff done day for a fun day, I'm trying to like equally balance relaxing and getting stuff done today. This has been really quick and easy so far, so I don't anticipate it being too hard to finish this today. And then we have one book left, which is great because while I have enjoyed like just diving into middle grade this week, the rest of my March TBR is looking at me, and I am getting anxious about not having read any of them yet, even though it's only like March 7th. But okay, I'm gonna stop yapping now and go do my stuff. All right, I finished book 6 of this week. This is wild, actually, that this is the 6th book I've read this week. But The Memory Thief, I landed on about 3 stars. This is a perfectly fine middle grade. It's just not quite to my taste for what I look for in middle grade, like as an adult reader. But for the intended age group, this is totally fine. You know, I would, again, like, watch out for those Harry Potter references because there are a fair amount. I realize that's a very specific annoyance, but you know, I know I have some friends who will stop reading if there's a Harry Potter reference just because of how triggering that can be. And then I kind of swing on like a scale. Sometimes I'll DNF if it's like egregious, where it's like, wow, you don't know how to describe a thing in your book without using that as a reference, to like mild, maybe not mild, extreme annoyance when it pops up. It more annoyed me in this book than triggered me, which makes sense for 2021. But my God, I wish we could collectively like read another book. That would be so great. But I did like the explorations of friendship because Rosie and her best friend Germ are at that stage of being 11 where they're both starting to change a little bit as they get older. They are both becoming interested in different things. And so their friendship is changing, and that's really scary for Rosie. And I like how the author tackled that. And I also liked there's a ghost that Rosie becomes friends with, and I liked how that relationship, how that friendship grew. The thing I didn't love is that in this book there are 13, it's in the freaking title of the series. There are 13 witches, and witches in this fantasy world are bad. They are all bad. And then Rosie is from a line of witch hunters. And I think I've just read too many romantic-y books where the romance is between a witch and a witch hunter. And I feel like there should be more gray area. But that's, very specific. I think if you're looking for more of like a black and white witches are evil type story. And this is fun. It's imaginative. And I think this wraps up in a really satisfying way, but also leads into the next book in the series in a way that would probably make another reader really excited to continue on. So not a bad book, just not quite what I want in middle grade fantasy. And that took me, it is just about 3:30. I took a little bit of a break because my children wanted to leave the house. So we went to the library and to run some errands. And then we came home and I got down to reading again. So not too shabby. And the audiobook was pretty good. Not like, it's not going to be like a life-changing audiobook experience, but it's like a serviceable audiobook. We have one book left. I'll tell you what it is since it's our last book. Let me go get it. And no, I have not heard back from Wayfair yet about the desk, but I don't think I'll hear back until Monday or Tuesday since I filed the claim on a Friday. Okay, so the book for tomorrow is Blackbird Fly by Erin Entrada Kelly. I actually read my first book by this author last year. I read like her newest release and I really liked it. So I'm really looking forward to listening to this one. It has music in it. Our main character is Filipino, and I've seen this cover like for the longest time. When did this come out? But I know Erin Entrada Kelly is pretty beloved in middle grade spaces. She gets, oh my gosh, 2015? I did not know I had any books on my Libro FM from 2015. Wow. I don't think I've even had Libro FM for 2015. Since 2015. How did I get this one on my library? Oh well. So, almost 11 years. It's an 11-year-old book. It's crazy.
Good morning. It's Sunday. The time change is kicking my butt so hard. But I just got done grocery shopping and I've listened to a little over an hour of Blackbird Fly. We're off to kind of a rough start. So the main character, Apple, she and her mom are from the Philippines. They immigrated when Apple was 4. She and her mom have like a pretty rocky relationship, which I think is kind of standard in the books I've read recently, especially middle grade, where the parent is an immigrant and they have the main character is a daughter. So not, I would say the relationship between Yumi and her mom and stand-up Yumi Chung was a little bit better. I think Yumi liked her mom and respected her mom more than I would say Apple likes or respects her mom. They disagree a lot. Apple looks down on her mom quite a bit and is really frustrated with her that like they came to the United States, but then her mom is constantly talking about how much better it was back home. And so that was rough. That was like the beginning. And then Apple goes to a friend's house to hang out, and there are a bunch of other people from school there. And we jump into the racism real fast, where nobody wants to sit next to Apple because of the shape of her eyes. And none of the boys wants to sit next to Apple because of the shape of her eyes. They ask her if Chinese people eat dogs, and it's not great. It's rough. Gay is used as a slur. The R word is used as a slur, obviously, and there's no other way to use the R word. And there's already a lot of fat phobia directed at a secondary character. An hour in. So yeah, not loving it. I'm hoping that there will be that it'll redeem itself somehow, but I don't know. Right now, I don't really like Apple very much. I really don't like her friends, and I'm a little nervous that the fat phobia is going to continue, and I know there's going to be more racism directed at Apple, and I'm just not having a good time. However, I have like 2 hours left of the audiobook because it's short, and I'm listening at 2 times speed because that's about where I land with middle grade audiobooks. And I have about 2 hours of driving to do today. So I'm going to commit to at least listening to it on my 1 hour drive to my sister's house. And then I think I'll evaluate once I get there and decide if I want to listen to it on the way home. I would hate to DNF a book for this on the last day, but that's a lot. I forgot to mention, on top of all the horrible things, so far, the big plot point has been that there is this list that goes around the middle school that the boys like generate, and it's a verbal list of the ugliest girls in the school, and it's called the dog log. And Apple finds out she's on the list. Also, her friends are awful. So,
Well, thank goodness for long car rides. Also, I think my candle warmer light is too warm. Ooh, that's really dark. We'll keep it. It'll be fine. I finished Blackbird Fly. First of all, I did not realize this was Erin Entrada Kelly's debut. Holy moly, what a way to come out swinging in the publishing industry. And I struggle. I mean, I didn't struggle with this because I just listened to it while I was driving, and it's a good audiobook. This story at times was really hard to listen to. I think all of these, I think there are so few middle grade stories, I think, that truly depict how cruel kids can be if you are different in any way, shape, or form, in your appearance, in your interests, in your anything. And I've re-experienced this having middle schoolers. My twins are in 8th grade. And I think if you work with kids, obviously this is something you know. But my husband does not work with kids. And so when the twins will be talking about something somebody did, or a difficulty they're having with another student, not necessarily one of their friends, but just somebody who exists in their same sphere, his advice is always they're dealing with a rational human being. I'm that's not how middle schoolers work. They are not rational. They can just be cruel for cruelty's sake, and it sucks. And I think that this book captures that really well. I think it also captures that stage of adolescence where you don't feel like you can confide in your parents anymore. So there were a lot of hard but true things in this book. I think the racism that Apple experiences is very real. But then there's also this part of Apple figuring out who her real friends are and making new friends who accept her for who she is and who like her for who she is, not who they want her to be. But in that process of making new friends, she also has to let go of childhood friends that where they've grown apart, and that part's really sad. So there's a lot of hard things, but also a lot of good things in this book. I don't love some of the language Erin Entrada Kelly chooses for certain characters. There's obviously the racism, the fat phobia, the use of the R word, Like, there is stuff in this book that kids experience, but especially with the fat character, Helena, there's moments where Erin Entrada Kelly is describing her just existing in the world, and it's just a neutral narration. Like, it's not Apple's perception of what's happening. Like, Apple's watching her, but Apple's not commenting on what she's doing. She's just observing. And Erin Entrada Kelly would use words like Helena heaved herself across the gym, and just words like that where I'm like, that's unnecessary, and like is still passing a judgment on a fat kid. And I really had a problem, especially with how Helena was described. It got better as the book went along, but just a minute, the cat wants in the room. Hi, can I help you? Are you coming in? So it got better, but I didn't, it was just, it definitely kept it from being great because it was just wholly unnecessary. I landed on, I think, a 4 because I think this is a really good debut. I think she tackles a lot of stuff that would help kids be seen. I think this book would make for excellent classroom discussion. Oh my gosh. And I think this was a good one to go out on. And I thank my 2 hours in the car for getting me through the audiobook. So that means I have, are you ready for this? Oh my goodness, successfully read 7 books in 7 days for middle grade March. And it was so fun because I think I said this at some point, but I really love middle grade, but I don't make the time to read middle grade very much anymore. And so I really appreciate that I can just in March, I feel like I have permission to just dive headlong into an age category that I have a lot of affection for. Since you know what I've read, because while this has been a week for me, it's only been, well, it's been over an hour, I think. I don't know that I can get this vlog under an hour. So that is a time commitment. So if you've stuck with me through the whole thing, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I know your time is precious. So thank you for spending it with me. But I do want to rate these in terms of enjoyment because I think that would be fun. The Hunt for the Mad Wolf's Daughter is at the bottom. I think that was my least enjoyed, followed by Fearless, and then The Memory Thief. Okay, now I know which one is going to be number 1, but the 3 between this and number 1 could maybe be scooched around a little. I'm basically trying to decide if I liked stand-up Yumi Chung or Blackbird Fly more, because they both made me very uncomfortable for very different reasons. I think Blackbird Fly, just because I found Apple really frustrating at times. I mean, I found both of them frustrating, but Apple frustrated me a little bit more than Yumi did. And then the list of things that will not change. And then, of course, Scarlet Morning. The other thing I was thinking about yesterday, as I was thinking about what I've read this week, is how diverse this stack of books is in terms of ethnicity, sexuality, like whether it's the main characters or the authors, and that I think middle grade and YA do such a good job of having a wider range of diversity in their books than adult books do. And I really appreciate that, and I wish adult books would step it up a little bit more and be a little bit more, have diversity be a little bit easier to mix in, you know, because I didn't purposefully think I want a diverse list of books. I just went and picked books that I was interested in, or I've seen the cover for a really long time and I've been meaning to read it for a really long time, and I'm tired of thinking about, I need to read that book someday. And there wasn't a whole lot of pre-planning outside of that, and I ended up with a lot of different representation that I'm really happy with. And I just wish, adult books would step it up. So thank you so much for spending this week with me and sharing your time with me. If you would like to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, let's do bluebird emoji, because that's a component in The Memory Thief. And otherwise, if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!